So yeah, as you can tell, these people aren't exactly friendly, but it's not out of malice, it's entirely out of fear, because they do not live in a good area, and they are consistently getting attacked by all sorts of horrors. So really, it's completely understandable. I'm just gonna help them out a little real quick by trying to fill in this pitfall in the middle of their base. There's an armadillo over here. Maybe that's not an armadillo. Oh, it's an armadillo, and it's a particularly huge one. And there's rattlesnakes. The creature variety here in the desert is magnificent. And there's a flightless bird called a skrill. Interesting name. Oh, there's a vulture up there. Looks to even be a bearded vulture. Haha. Easy. Seems we've got a scorpion over here. That's new for me. I'm taking enough damage to run through my food fast, but I do have an excessive amount of it to burn through, so I could kind of use to do that just for the inventory space. This is a big fucking scorpion. But hey, I get more sturdy chitin for crafting and even more poison sacks. So that's good. Ooh, I got coconuts. And that's a new food to craft with. Honestly, I'm not a big fan of coconuts. Oh, and there's meerkats here too. Well, things are adorable. Shit, I'm in trouble here. I need to fucking run. Shit, they're still following. Oh, it looks like only one of them is. Oh, okay. Managed to beat them. There, just sniped some of these bastards. Ha! Easy. There, and now that's all of them dead. Thinking... want to check out where all those bones are. But I also want to check out this canyon over here and the highlands around it. I think I'll go there first. More likely to find a mine I can get some good use out of. And maybe get some thorium. Huh. And it couldn't even spot me before it was shot down. And these things have a shit attack range. If I'm backing up actively, they can't even hit me. Because they have to stop moving to attack, and their range is just that awful. I haven't killed one of these things before. Scarax Seeker. Oh. That's another big bug bopped. Yeah, your summoning ain't gonna do much, pal, when I can kill you that easy. Really not much of a mini-boss, are ya? Early game you were terrifying, but now... I know I've got some half-decent skill with a bow. These Void Eyes ain't shit. Oh, there's a lot of Void Eyes around here. We got some cacti. I'll definitely take some cacti. Be good decoratively. I can do some fun stuff with that. Question is, which of my... Okay, they go in the farming bag. There. These Karak are definitely a threat. Seems we've got some ore sticking out on this mountaintop. A lot more iron for me to collect. We're also getting the Stormcap mushrooms. Considering the theming, I'd say this is a likely place for me to start finding thorium. Pretty sure these Stormcap mushrooms and fire flowers will be alchemy components. And although I don't have an alchemical table yet, I'll pick up all I can of these to make sure I can get the best use out of it once I do build one. I should be capable of making one pretty soon. Oh, there's thorium right there. Finally found some. Okay, so I was right about this place. It looks like there's some deeper down in this, though. In fact, there's more of it down here, in the middle of the canyon. Oh yeah, for some reason the camels in this world have fucking shells. Why, I haven't a clue. It's a very unique design aspect, but the fuck. It'd be real nice if I could find a cave entrance around here. Because if there's more of it deeper in the canyon, then probably underground beneath the canyon is where I'll find the most. What the fuck? Okay. Living cactus. Cactus enemy. What the shit? There's a Void Eye over there. I could fight it, but there's a cave entrance in the canyon right over here. This is exactly what I needed. Let's find some thorium. Oh, that didn't take long. Alright, let's try and get ourselves a couple of full stacks of thorium then. So, while I'm down here, I should probably get into another of the podcast sections. Let's see. Ah, yes, somebody asked how I got into Kamen Rider because of my writing for Henshin Hero Academia. So, very roundabout answer to that. Like many American boys of my generation, I was a huge fan of Power Rangers as a kid. Great series, a lot of potential, but eventually, becoming a weeb as I did, I was eventually exposed to the magnificence of its original series, Super Sentai. And I was drawn in pretty quickly by it. It was a massive step up compared to Power Rangers in most incarnations. There were definitely versions that were a step down. Particularly Power Rangers RPM was a huge step up from its Sentai equivalent. But of course, following Sentai, if you're watching it sequentially, including the specials, I definitely didn't watch every series, because I really didn't have it in me to go and watch the older, cheesier ones with much worse effects. Watching that, you're inevitably going to end up going into one of their crossovers with Kamen Rider. That was where I ended up being first fully introduced to it. Kamen Rider 4's, a Kamen Rider build, and my personal favorite aesthetically, thematically, and just with incredible combat choreography, Kamen Rider 01. Have I gone truly deep into it? No, because when I first got into my binging of classic Super Sentai, I was much younger and had a lot less going on in my life. So as you can imagine, finding opportunities to deep dive into that series have been limited. Do I know it inside and out? Know any of the actors' names? Know any of the... know any, like, particular episodes that stand out to me and I could ramble about for a while? No, I do not. Call me a fake fan if you want. I don't care. I just haven't had the time to get deep into it because I have so many projects and so much on my plate. But I have enjoyed what I have seen. I do fully intend to get deeper into it when the opportunity arises. I'm more focused on paying homage to it through my writing of Henshin Hero Academia. I do end up doing more research and watching more actual episodes while I'm doing that. It's definitely been helpful. But I'm in no rush to go marathoning either. So, next question then. I ended up getting a lot of questions about my writing, and Kat ended up asking, how do I manage my creative writing? Is it more of pre-planning or free flow? That is a genuinely good question, and for me, it tends to be, that depends on what it is I'm writing. For my novels, for the Control series, that is most definitely a lot of pre-planning. I put a lot of work into planning out the world, the characters, the overarching narrative, the long-term narrative, trying to get toward particular goals and scenes. And that has worked out quite well for me. But I know that's not for everybody. Free flow is definitely a viable method as well, and one that I also have a good deal of experience with. And I can tell you for certain that although I do have certain scenes and aspects of my fanfics planned out ahead of time, my fanfic writing is much more freeform and just winging it as I go. And that's largely because my fanfiction is what I write to de-stress and calm down and just break the monotony in between writing my books. Writing the same thing forever can definitely get grating. Well, my novels are, of course, for my more professional writing, and my fanfics are for breaking away from that. One of those rats just immediately ran into one of those exploding mushrooms. Blew itself up. Sucks to suck, you little bastard. Hey, if you're this far in the video, maybe consider leaving a like, a comment, and subscribing to the channel. And if you really want to help me out, consider following the link below to check out my book. I also do commissions, so feel free to contact me for that over any of my socials. Now, I'll let you get back to the video. Oh, there's a new creature down here. Okay, that appears to be a Skarok hatchling. So I'm getting close to a hive. So I was also asked how I deal with having multiple ideas for a single scene. And, let me tell you, that is actually not an issue that I run into often. And that's largely because once I get a good idea for a scene, I usually don't second guess it much. I more of just refine it and improve on it until I feel it's ready to actually be written. So there don't end up being really any scenes that I feel I need to do that with. Sometimes I'll come up with a scene and decide that I can do better, or it just doesn't fit narratively, and I'll end up dropping it entirely. I've got a few what-if scenes like that I wrote for Control, and I'm uncertain as to whether I'm going to use them or not. It just depends on whether I feel they still fit when I get to actually writing the surrounding scenes. And then if it does, I'll rewrite those what-if scenes better than when I originally conceived them, and see where that goes. So, as for the question about writer's block, that is something I do have consistent, serious trouble with. Long story short, yeah, I don't have any good, healthy ways of managing writer's block. I am terrible about it. Whenever I fall into writer's block, I usually end up doing absolutely nothing for a good long while. And that only gets remedied upon, just suddenly getting a spark of energy and inspiration that I have no idea of the source of. So really, it kind of comes down to luck for me. Sad, but true. I try to manage it as best I can. One way I try to limit the effect of writer's block on myself is just trying to work on different projects when I burn out on one. Because for me, the biggest thing that causes writer's block is burnout. And sadly for me, one of the biggest causes for burnout is just my depression issues, which tend to be rather consistent. I manage it well, but it still gets in the way. And of course, just feeling like my work isn't properly appreciated. Not getting enough reviews, or any, in many cases. Just the incredibly lackluster and just generally lacking in existence sales of my book. So yeah, that tends to be a pretty big problem for me. So, next question, moving on. I was asked about my family's musical history. And yeah, there's definitely a lot of that to go over. So, I've mentioned before that I do happen to have a small part-time gig as a DJ. Small in the sense that it's very difficult to find consistent work as a DJ in this economy, especially after COVID. But I'm managing. I've got a very supportive family, so But yeah, my family's musical history kind of starts with my dad, and in a rather big way. He's been in and out of bands since well before I was born. His first band, as far as I recall, was a little thing called Anything Goes. And it was fairly popular. He actually had an album that was released on cassette. It didn't really get very far. It did get into the hands of some rather influential people in the music industry, and it almost got his career to take off, if not for the manipulations of my mother. She didn't like him going out and doing all those shows and thought that he was going to cheat on her just because he was going out doing that. But that was also largely her projecting, because she's the manipulative type, and basically anything she's tempted to do, she is constantly insisting others are going to do, because she projects like that, like any narcissist does. So yeah, I'd say the reasons for that marriage not working out are pretty obvious with that statement alone. Also very clearly explains why I haven't spoken to my mother in a very long time now, and absolutely do not wish to. The next thing I find out about her, I hope, is where her grave is, so I can go take a shit on it. But anyway, my dad's musical career never really stopped, even if she tried to get in the way. Definitely went on pause for a few years when I was a kid, but after the divorce, he tried picking it back up, and found some success in that. But when he was with Anything Goes back then, he had some surprising success. There were a lot of big local bars and venues around here that picked him up and hired his band left and right. And one of them, he was actually asked to open for Tesla. Tesla can be a little niche and sadly a little unknown in this day and age, which is sad because they were genuinely good. Yeah, Tesla was particularly big in this area because they kind of started here. And even once they hit it big, they still made sure to come back and do shows at smaller places for all the fans that they started out with. Real good, humble shit. And, well, my dad's band was hired to open for them one day. So they show up and open for them. And, well, they showed up several hours early just to try and meet the guys, but they stayed on their tour bus the whole time. Not so humble. Although it was more of, they were just chilling out and prepping for the show. Well, my dad and the rest of his band, they were a little pissed that they didn't get to meet them beforehand. They didn't take that sitting down. No, their solution was to, during their opening act, do something that you should never do during an opening act. Play one of the songs of the band you're opening for. Yes, they dared to do that. So they started playing Love Song. And imagine my dad's perspective. He's out there playing, and all of a sudden he sees... I'm forgetting his name right now. I gotta look this up. Okay, yeah. He suddenly sees Jeff Keith, the vocalist, come storming out from backstage. Absolutely pissed as hell. But then he sees my dad, looks at him, looks out to the stage, looks out past the stage to the crowd, gives him a thumbs up and goes backstage again. No idea why, no explanation. Just one moment he's pissed, the next he's approving. So that was confusing at first. Then Tesla goes up for their sets, and my dad and his whole band are in the front row with copies of their cassette with notes attached with rubber bands. And they're just throwing them up on stage. And they end up taking them. On their way out, Tesla collects a few copies and walks off and heads back to their van, or back to their tour bus. And I've got a fully grown Karak here. Yeah, they go back to their tour bus, and at the end of the night, my dad's band goes and hangs out outside their tour bus, waiting to see them again. Skip about, let's say, an hour, I think he said it was. And out of nowhere, one of them opens up and says, "Hey, you guys are Anything Goes, right?" "Yeah." "You want to come back into the bar with us and get fucked up and jam?" When you get asked that by Tesla, yeah, obviously you're gonna accept. So, of course, that's exactly what they did. They went ahead and went back into the bar to just chill out and jam. And while they're doing this, they just bring all their acoustic instruments in with them to play. And at one point, their guitarist, whose name I'm also forgetting, but I'm not going to take the time to look it up right now, he looks to my dad's guitarist, Dave. He used to be a great guitarist, but he got completely wasted off his ass constantly and never practiced enough. And then he was also a bit of a mean drunk, so he broke his hand several times and couldn't play anymore eventually. Sad, really. So many people with that kind of talent end up fucking themselves up like that. But anyway, he looks to Dave, and he says, "Hey, do you recognize this one?" And he starts playing one of the songs my dad wrote. And obviously, that's a pretty big fucking deal. In an hour, Tesla listened to their entire cassette, obviously liked it, and liked it enough to learn it by ear, and play it back to them when jamming in the bar afterwards. Obviously, that was one of the proudest moments of my dad's life. And nobody in their right mind could ever blame him for that. So, of course, they just stayed in the bar and jammed for hours, and ended up going to their cars at like 5 a.m. and passing out in them. It definitely took them a while to get home after that, but I'd say it was worth it. Thanks for watching, guys, and please do remember to like, comment, and subscribe to the Envoy of Kairos for many more videos, ranging from gameplay to speed paints, my original Pokemon region, game concepts, and much more. And do try to remember the words of Kairos. Embrace every opportunity to better yourself and the world. You never know when a leap of faith will change your life for the better. See you again soon.